Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope we're doing well, and today I'll be doing a review of Smile on 4K. Shout out to Paramount for sending me an early copy to review. This film is set to come out very, very soon. In fact, I'll give you the exact street date on this film. December 13th is when it'll be available on 4K, Blu-ray, and DVD. This was indeed sent to me for free by Paramount, but all of my opinions are going to be my own. No one's paying me for this review. This is a movie that I have been wanting to see for a long time. As you all know, I cover the box office news. And one of the cool things about this year were films like Smile, where it ended up doing so incredibly well, especially compared to its overall budget. It made well over $200 million worldwide on only a $17 million budget. And a big part of why it was so successful is not only because now that I can say that I've seen the film, not only because it's a freaking creepy film that does its job very well, but also because the marketing campaign on this movie was so incredibly effective as well. I mean, just look at the image right here and you'll see, oh yeah, that's very, very creepy. Now imagine putting random people smiling into different locations, and you can see how that could probably be pretty darn effective. So I'm going to go ahead and give my thoughts about the actual film and then talk a little bit about the 4K itself. So Smile deals with an overworked psychiatrist, right? Overworked psychiatrist working in a hospital who ends up meeting a patient who has not slept in a very long time, is freaking out, claiming that she is seeing people smiling at her, claiming that there is some type of presence, of some type of force that is wearing the faces of other people to try and drive her insane, and then dies right in front of her in a very creepy fashion. In fact, the girl who's on the front cover here does an incredible job, again, not only because she is literally the face of the marketing of this movie, but also because she is the patient at the very beginning of the film who dies. Now, I will say that this is a movie not for the faint of heart at all. From the first 15 minutes, and if anyone who follows me on social media, you would have seen, I said, well, already within the first 15 minutes, I am terrified. And I think that just kind of shows you the effectiveness of this story. But it is also, again, very, very creepy. As I said, this poor woman who's been traumatized, who's been terrified, who's going to see this psychiatrist, who obviously thinks that everyone believes that she's crazy, everyone believes that she's insane, then dies in a very creepy fashion in front of her, right? Takes her own life in front of her, and let's just say a lot of blood, a lot of just creepy visuals, creepy sound. And I think that is what this film really has going for it, is that, for one, the cinematography of this film is beautiful. This film in 4K looks absolutely spectacular. I was actually able to buy a Panasonic 4K player over Black Friday and was able to finally test that out with the Dolby Vision on my LG screen. And it looks phenomenal. It looks fantastic. There's a lot of really cool aerial shots, for instance, when the characters are traveling from one place to the other. There's a lot of images that get, start off upside down and then flipped over. Again, I don't know how much of it was actually practically done as far as the camera starting off upside down, or whether that was done in post. And either way, it always looks really, really nice, really, really crisp. Everything comes through very clearly. And it also is able to come through in such a way where it just conveys just the creepiness and the otherness of this film and of the entity that is being dealt with in this specific film as well. And I think another major aspect that helps with this movie is the soundtrack, is the actual score to this film. Oh my goodness. Creepy, just again, very simple choices that are made to be able to make a very creepy atmosphere, to be able to create this very creepy persona that is able to, again, pervade throughout the film. I'm someone where I'm not a big horror fan in general. I try to stay away from movies like this. In fact, when I saw that this film was listed as a psychological horror, I want to say very clearly that though it is absolutely a psychological horror, it is, again, much more horror than it is thriller. Again, I kind of went into this hoping it would be a little bit more thriller than horror, but there are definitely a handful of very creepy images, especially at the very end of the movie. You get, let's just say, a lot of creepy stuff that's happening, a lot of creepy things that you're actually witnessing. So if that's the kind of thing that freaks you out, this might not be the movie for you. Again, if you are much more of a thriller than a horror person, this definitely takes the cake when it comes to horror. But I think it does so in such an effective and simple way. There's nothing necessarily groundbreaking in this movie. I think that there's definitely parts of the story, for instance, that have been done before. For some reason, films like It Follows came to mind with this movie, right? Where there's essentially this aspect of a curse that's being passed on, is kind of an element to this movie, very similar to what was in It Follows. And in that movie too, right, there was also a lot of creepy imagery that was being utilized and used. This has that as well. And it has, I think, probably a similar amount of jump scares. Apparently, according to this Wikipedia article, there was some complaints from critics that basically over the jump scares. There really aren't that many jump scares in this movie. Again, they're there, but I think that the reason why the movie is so effective is because it lets you see what's going on, and it lets you see those elements, and lets you see them for as creepy as they are. Right? Whether it's this girl, right, this woman, this psychiatrist who becomes infected by the same thing that she had to watch one of her patients deal with, right, in front of her very eyes, whether she's walking down the hall and all of a sudden you see someone just smiling in the doorframe. It makes you pay attention to things in the background a little bit more, not because necessarily they are front and center, but because you're like, oh, I know that this is the kind of movie where she's going to start to see people who are smiling at her, and so it's not maybe always going to be very obvious, but you start to look in crowds, you start to look in the background, and there's a couple times you're like, oh, okay, wait a minute, I see someone there, and okay, yeah, there's definitely going to be someone there smiling at her, and again, it's just interesting to say the least. Now, apparently this is based off of a short film, Laura Hasn't Slept, and one of the cool things about the actual 4K, talking a little bit about the 4K now, is that this movie comes with that original, the original short film. So this is directed and written by Parker Finn, who also did the original short. There's an introduction that is done by the director as well to the original short film that led to this being and becoming the actual major release. So it's really cool that they included the short film on this disc as well. It also includes commentary by the director as well, so it's always good to have some director's commentary. You don't have that a lot, I feel, on a lot of these more modern releases. Something's Wrong with Rose, making smile flies on the wall inside the score. Yes, absolutely. Again, phenomenal what they were able to do with this score. Deleted scenes with optional commentary by director Parker Finn. I haven't even really gone into those extra scenes because, again, this film creeped me out. This is not the kind of movie that I typically watch, and yet I do respect it because it is doing its job, right? It is terrifying you. Some people like to be scared. Some people like to be terrified. I am not one of those persons. So I can absolutely say that without a shadow of a doubt, this film is fantastic. If you are a horror fan, then you are going to thoroughly enjoy this movie, I think, right? Obviously, there might be the horror film snobs out there who are like, well, I've seen this done in other films before. And that might be true. But it's, again, the simplicity and the effectiveness of what this film does that even I, as a non-horror fan, have to respect. As I said, the score is fantastic. The score is creepy. It does its job, and it raises the level, right? It's almost a character in of itself. And I mentioned this previously on reviews that I've done on other films, right? Where sometimes the score can be distracting. Sometimes the score can be a character in its own. Sometimes the score is just there to support. It's nice to have this film be an example of the score almost being a character in and of itself, where it's helping propel the story forward, and it's helping to propel the creepiness that you're seeing on screen. And again, the psychological issues that are being handled by the main character, the therapist, right, Rose Cotter, throughout the actual film itself. And yeah, this film is available on Paramount Plus, but it's also, again, not only available on digital platforms, but it's available in 4K. And I would say that I think it's worth picking up in 4K. And the reason why is, I said, because the image is beautiful. Again, this comes with Dolby Vision Atmos. So it comes with, again, a very premium format there. This is from Paramount. And so obviously when it comes to the format wars, right, some support different formats over another. But yeah, especially if you have a Dolby Atmos or Dolby Vision TV or Dolby Atmos system, let me just say that this thing is going to deliver in a lot of ways. As I said, I just recently, this past year, had upgraded to a soundbar. And yeah, the sound of this film, just like, again, the individual sounds in the actual scenes, and then, of course, the actual music came through in a very effective fashion. And again, this woman's smile, it just, let's just say, it haunted me last night. It was very difficult for me to fall asleep last night. And again, I think that's what horror films try to do. So ultimately, I'm going to go ahead and give the film an A-. I think the only reason why I might have any issues with this film is because there's definitely elements of the story that I think have been done before, but I think the simplicity of the story, and I think the fact that it's so effective in what it's doing, is definitely something that is worth commending. Especially, there's a lot of really great scenes in the film that I think also showcase some really powerful acting, especially from the lead actress. All the supporting characters also are in there as well. What I thought was interesting is that you actually had Kyle Penn in the movie, so I was kind of actually thrown back by that a little bit. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, he's in this movie, and I think that he has a supporting character that does, just a fine job. For what he does. But again, Sosie Bacon, who plays the traumatized psychiatrist, she does a fantastic job in the film. And then, of course, Jesse T. Usher, I recognized him immediately from The Boys, was in the film. You also have a couple of other supporting characters that are in the movie. I'm trying to see if it's, Caitlin Stacy. So she is the one who plays the woman who's on the cover, the one who's traumatized at the very beginning. And again, great supporting performance. And it makes me sad to think about, actually, when I'm saying this out loud, because it's these kinds of performances that probably should get a lot more attention, but won't, right? You won't probably see this film get any type of Oscar consideration for the acting, but I think that the acting is definitely up there with other dramatic performances. And I think that, again, if you are someone that likes horror films, you will like this movie. If you're someone that appreciates good cinematography, if you're someone that appreciates really good music, and you don't mind a horror film, you might like this film. If you do not like even the occasional jump scare, if you do not like creepy imagery, right, or anything that's dealing with the potentially, again, they kind of dance along the line of possibly demonic, and you all know I stay very far away from those movies. This one definitely draws and plays on that line, so I just want to give that warning as well. But it does leave it a little bit more ambiguous, to the point where, again, for some people it may bother them, for some people it may not. But again, I did want to put that out there nonetheless. So again, A- for this film. Great release. The 4K looks beautiful on it. The one issue I would have with the actual physical release itself, again, thank you so much, Paramount, for sending this out, is that it only comes with the 4K disc. I like when these collections come out and you're able to get like everything with it, right? The 4K disc, the Blu-ray disc, just to have those options available to you. It also allows them to be able to spend a little bit more time making sure that the image on the 4K release is as big as possible, right? The file is as big as possible, so it has as much data, and also the ability to transfer as much data as possible to get the most perfect image you can on screen. And then they can put the special features on the Blu-ray where you can, not necessarily have the same type of quality if you want. But I like when they have that and they're able to split that apart. But this one does definitely come with, I think, enough special features to be able to justify it for your own purchase, especially if you were a fan of the film in theaters, or if you were interested in seeing this film. I actually would highly recommend it, and if anything else, you can check it out on Paramount Plus. But what else thoughts? Have you seen Smile? Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. And also, do you plan on picking this film up? Again, this will be released on physical media on December 13th. As you all know, I'm a very big proponent of physical media releases. And again, just to add commentary by the director is on this. Laura Hasn't Slept, which is the original film that Smile is then the broader release of. Something's Wrong with Rose, the making of Smile. Flies on the Wall inside the score. Again, very, very important part of this film. And then Deleted Scenes with optional commentary is a part of this film as well. Again, amazing release, $200+ million on such a small budget. These are the kinds of movies that you should be making, Hollywood. These are the types of movies that we actually want to see. Again, I may not be the person that is the direct audience for this specific type of movie, but hey, if you make simple stories and you work them effectively, and you have people that are competent at their jobs behind the camera, right? Creating these really cool images on screen. Again, using great cinematography, even just the basic level of cinematography, and then also coming in. And again, I have to give a kudos to, again, Charlie Saroff, who was the cinematographer. Again, no link here, so someone who's relatively early in his film career, I could say off to a very, very strong start. The editor, Elliot Greenberg, I think also did a great job. The pacing of the film is very, very effective. And then, this guy right here, Cristobal Tapia de Veer, did a phenomenal job on this film as well. Again, very, very creepy. So I just want to give a shout out to them. And of course, a final shout out to Paramount for sending me this release. So give me your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, that fire button, Odyssey, smash the little rumble button as well. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. Also, a shout out from Chris from the 80s, as I am once again on a time crunch and still not able to record the December video. But as I said, I don't think anything else has changed. So again, Chris from the 80s, check him out on YouTube. Anyway, you're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge special shout out to all of my November Patreon Subscribe Star and Locals members at the Keeper of the Bifrost level and above. Starting off with Patreon with Father Luca Illich. Thank you very much, Father. Garrett Searles, Jaimir Irie Hymason, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Orange Hat Reviews, who you can check out on YouTube at his channel, Orange Hat Reviews, Rosetta Allen, who also has a YouTube channel that you can check out at Eagle Writer, and Miss Martin Muses, who also has a YouTube channel, Miss Martin Muses, and of course the amazing Empress of the Universe, Tina B, who you can check out at her YouTube channel, Tina B, where she hosts the show with Stephanie B, one of my mods, and one of my Valkyrie, called Soup to Nuts. Check out Soup to Nuts, and it premieres pretty much every Friday. So again, shout out to all of my Patreon people, also to all my Subscribe Star people, starting off with Matt317. Check him out on Twitch at Matt317. The R, Fast Reaction, Mr. Roy, J-Rod, the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. And ZK-Man you could check out over at xtheboundaries.co to follow him as he starts his podcast, and also for many of his musical musings as well. Check him out. Very, very talented guy. And then lastly, my locals peeps. We got Miss Minnesota Hockey Fan. How about a hockey player? UAB Mad Dog, Mike Jackson for the win. J.H. Schwalbach, Brett D90, and the amazing lawyer, Robert Barnes. Thank you all so very much for supporting me. And if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, go ahead and check out the top link in the video description below, where you get access to that. Also, you get access to special things like giveaways, and also exclusive podcasts that I do with John the Flickinger and other guests throughout the month of November and in the previous and the months to follow as well. And again, if any of that sounds interesting to you, especially the 4K giveaways, Steelbook giveaways, some of them that I have to give away this month are films like Starship Troopers on 4K Steelbook, Top Gun Maverick on 4K Steelbook, amongst many others. If that sounds interesting to you, check out the link and follow the instructions down below. Anyway, you guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.